help me reach 1,000 subscribers. Please like the video and share your thoughts on the video. Your feedback helps make the contents better. Now let's get to the story.
I watched the taillights of the taxi disappear around the corner, my hand still raised in what anyone watching would have called a heartbroken wave. The neighbors probably thought I was the devoted husband, crushed by my wife's departure. Mrs. Henderson from across the street even gave me a sympathetic nod from her porch. I let my shoulders slump a little more, sold the performance, then turned and walked back into the house that suddenly felt a lot more like mine than ours. The front door clicked shut behind me, and I didn't waste a single second. My laptop was already open on the kitchen counter, the bank's website loaded and waiting. My hands were steady as I logged in, steadier than they'd been in months. Maybe it was the clarity that comes when you finally stop lying to yourself. Or maybe it was just pure, concentrated anger finally finding a purpose. My name is Marcus Chen. I'm 34 years old, and up until about 3 months ago, I thought I had a pretty good life. I'm a software engineer for a tech company in Seattle, the kind of job that pays well enough that my wife Vanessa never had to work if she didn't want to. But she did want to work, or at least that's what she told me. She was a marketing consultant, always taking on new clients, always networking, always on her phone. I thought she was ambitious. Turns out I was just naive. If you're listening right now, help me prove something wrong. My mother said I wouldn't even reach 1,000 subscribers, but I believe stories like this deserve to be heard. Help me show her that these stories matter. 3 months ago, I came home early from work. We'd launched a major update ahead of schedule, and my boss actually told us to take the afternoon off. I remembered being excited, thinking maybe Vanessa and I could catch an early movie or just hang out like we used to when we first started dating. Those moments had become rare lately, with both of us always busy, always tired, always planning to spend quality time together next week or next month. I pulled into our driveway around 2 in the afternoon and noticed Vanessa's car was still there. Good, she was home. I walked in quietly, not trying to be sneaky, just not making unnecessary noise. That's when I heard her voice coming from our home office upstairs. She was on the phone and she was laughing. Not her polite client laughs, but the real one, the one I used to think was reserved for me. "I know, baby, I know," she was saying, her voice dropping into that intimate tone that made my stomach twist even before my brain caught up with what was happening. "Just 2 more years and we'll have everything we need. He's so trusting, it's almost too easy. The Toronto assignment is perfect. He actually believed it." I stood there at the bottom of our stairs, my work bag still in my hand, feeling like the floor was tilting under my feet. She kept talking, kept laughing, kept destroying our entire marriage with every word. "The savings account has about $650,000 now. Once I'm in Toronto, we give it a few months, then I'll start moving money gradually. He won't notice. He never checks the accounts, just assumes I'm handling it. By the time I file for divorce, we'll have everything secured offshore, and his stupid prenup won't mean anything because he won't be able to prove where the money went." The prenup, the one my lawyer had insisted on before we got married, the one Vanessa had cried about, saying it meant I didn't trust her, didn't believe in us, the one I'd almost torn up a dozen times because she made me feel like a terrible person for having it. That prenup was suddenly the only thing standing between me and complete financial ruin. I backed out of the house as quietly as I entered, got in my car, and drove to a coffee shop 3 blocks away. I sat there for 4 hours, drinking cup after cup of coffee that I didn't taste, my mind racing through everything. Every late-night client meeting, every business trip, every time she'd volunteered to handle our finances because I was too busy with work. She'd been planning this. For how long? Months? Years? That night, I came home at my normal time, and Vanessa greeted me with a kiss like nothing was wrong, like she hadn't spent her afternoon plotting to rob me blind with this guy she called baby. I smiled back, asked about her day, and started planning. For 3 months, I played the loving, trusting husband. I even helped her prepare for the Toronto assignment, which she'd supposedly gotten with a prestigious marketing firm. I helped her pick out winter clothes for Canadian weather. I listened to her practice her presentation for her new bosses. I watched her pack her suitcases with an Oscar-worthy expression of sadness on my face. The whole time I was working with my lawyer, a sharp woman named Patricia Hoffman who'd handled my prenup. When I told her everything, she didn't even look surprised. "The money's in a joint account?" she asked. When I nodded, she smiled. "Then it's as much yours as it is hers. Here's what we're going to do." I'd also hired a private investigator, a former cop named Ray, who looked exactly like you'd expect a private investigator to look, complete with the stubble and the tired eyes. Ray was worth every penny of his substantial fee. Within 2 weeks, he'd found Vanessa's boyfriend, a guy named Derek who worked in cryptocurrency investments, which apparently meant separating people from their money through increasingly complicated scams.
Ray also found their real plan. They weren't just stealing my money. They'd already rented an apartment in the Bahamas under Derek's cousin's name. They have tickets booked for 3 months from now, not to Toronto, but to Nassau. Vanessa was planning to string me along for those 3 months, gradually moving our money into cryptocurrency accounts that would be virtually impossible to trace, then disappear. The documentation Ray provided was beautiful. Photos of Vanessa and Derek together at restaurants across town, always careful to go places where they thought no one we knew would see them. Hotel receipts, text messages Ray had managed to obtain through methods he assured me were technically legal, or at least admissible. Email exchanges about their plan, including a particularly detailed one where Vanessa listed out all of Marcus's idiotic blind spots. That one hurt, I won't lie, but it also made what I was about to do a lot easier. Now, standing in my kitchen with my laptop open, I pulled up the savings account. $652,847.23. Money we'd saved over 7 years of marriage. My salary had funded about 90% of it, but because I was too busy and she was better with finances, Vanessa had managed everything. The account was joint. Every penny in it was legally as much mine as it was hers. I initiated the transfer, moving every single dollar to a new account I'd opened at a different bank 2 weeks ago, an account only in my name. The transfer was instant. 1 second, our joint savings showed $652,000. The next second, it showed 0. Then I called Patricia. "It's done," I said. "The money's secured." "Good," she replied. I could hear papers rustling on her end. "I'm filing the divorce papers right now. She'll be served tomorrow. Do you have somewhere you can stay for a few days? It might get ugly when she finds out." "I'm staying right here," I said, looking around the house that I'd bought before we even got married, the house that was in my name alone, another thing my lawyer had insisted on, that Vanessa had cried about. "This is my house. She can get a hotel." I heard Patricia's approving smile through the phone. "I'll include a restraining order just in case. With the evidence we have of her planned theft and fraud, getting you a protective order will be easy. She won't be able to come within 500 feet of you or the property." The next morning, I went to work like normal. I even texted Vanessa around 10, asking how her first day in Toronto was going. She sent back a long message about how cold it was, how nice her new office was, how much she missed me already. Every word was a lie, and every lie made what I'd done feel more and more justified. The divorce papers were served at 2 p.m. I know because Derek called her immediately, and she called me 30 seconds later. I was in a meeting, so I let it go to voicemail. Then I listened to her leave 4 increasingly frantic messages. "Marcus, there's been some kind of mistake. Someone just served me with divorce papers. Call me back right now. Marcus, this isn't funny. Where are you? Why aren't you answering? Marcus, I checked the bank account. Where's our money? What did you do? Call me right now. You bastard, you absolute bastard. How could you do this? That's my money. I'm calling the police. I'm calling my lawyer. You can't do this." I didn't call her back. Instead, I texted, "Checked what bank account? I thought you were in Toronto. Funny how you can check our Seattle bank from Canada so quickly. Also funny how the person who got served with divorce papers isn't actually in another country at all. Say hi to Derek for me." My phone rang immediately. I declined the call. She tried 6 more times. I declined all of them, then blocked her number. What I haven't mentioned yet is the best part of my plan, the piece that Patricia had helped me set up with almost gleeful precision. Remember that prenup Vanessa hated so much? It had a clause about infidelity. If either party could prove the other had committed adultery, the unfaithful spouse was entitled to exactly nothing from the marriage. No alimony, no property division, nothing. Thanks to Ray's investigation, I had proof in spades, not just proof of the affair, but proof of the planned financial fraud, which Patricia assured me would play very well in court. Judges don't like it when someone tries to steal money and hide it offshore. But I wasn't done yet. See, Derek's cryptocurrency investment business was actually a semi-legal operation that skirted several financial regulations. Ray uncovered that too. So while Patricia was filing my divorce papers, Ray was filing anonymous tips with the Securities and Exchange Commission, the IRS, and the FBI's Financial Crimes Division. Each tip included detailed documentation of Derek's various schemes, complete with names, dates, and account numbers. The federal government moves slowly on most things, but apparently not when you hand them a financial fraud case with a bow on top. 3 days after Vanessa got served, Derek got raided. Federal agents showed up at his apartment at 6 in the morning with a warrant. They seized his computers, his phones, his records. They also found Vanessa there, which was awkward for her since she was supposed to be in Toronto.
Now, before you start thinking I'm some kind of mastermind, I should tell you about the mistakes I made. I thought I'd covered everything, but Vanessa was desperate, and desperate people are dangerous. She hired a lawyer, some shark who tried to argue that the prenup was invalid, that I'd coerced her into signing it, that the money in our savings account was marital property, regardless of who earned it. For a few weeks, it looked like this might actually go to court, which would have been expensive and messy. Vanessa's lawyer was arguing that she'd contributed to our marriage in non-financial ways, that she'd sacrificed her career to support mine, which was absolute nonsense since she'd always worked and I'd never asked her to do anything but be honest with me. That's when Patricia played our final card. She scheduled a deposition and invited Vanessa and her lawyer to discuss a potential settlement. They showed up thinking we were ready to negotiate. Instead, Patricia spent 3 hours walking Vanessa through every piece of evidence we had, every photo of her with Derek, every text message about stealing my money, every email about their plan to flee to the Bahamas, every detail of how long she'd been planning this betrayal. I wasn't there for the deposition, but Patricia recorded it with everyone's consent as required by law. She sent me the highlights that evening. Watching Vanessa's face as she realized exactly how much we knew, exactly how screwed she was, should have felt better than it did. Instead, I just felt tired and sad and a little bit hollow. Her lawyer withdrew from the case the next day. Patricia told me he'd probably realized there was no money in representing someone with no case and no assets to pay him with. Vanessa tried to represent herself for a week, filing motions that were barely coherent, all of which the judge denied. The divorce was finalized 68 days after I filed. Because of the prenup and the proven infidelity, Vanessa got nothing. No money, no property, no alimony. The judge actually commended my lawyers on the thoroughness of our documentation. He also added his own commentary about people who abuse trust in marriage, which I'm pretty sure judges aren't supposed to do, but no one objected. The money stayed in my account, all of it. Vanessa tried to appeal, claiming I'd stolen it, but the bank records showed clearly that it was a joint account and I had every legal right to transfer community property, especially when I had evidence that my spouse was planning to steal it. As for Derek, his legal troubles were just beginning when my divorce finalized. The federal investigation into his business practices expanded into multiple charges of wire fraud, securities violations, and money laundering. I heard through Ray that Derek tried to make a deal, offering to testify about Vanessa's involvement in exchange for a lighter sentence. I don't know if anything came of that, and honestly, I didn't care anymore. 3 months after the divorce was final, I sold the house. I thought I wanted to keep it, wanted to stay out of spite, but every room reminded me of the life I thought I was living. I sold it for a profit, added that money to my reclaimed savings, and bought a smaller condo downtown with a view of Elliott Bay. I also changed jobs, not because I had to, but because I wanted a fresh start. I took a position with a startup that paid less but gave me equity and let me work on projects I actually cared about. It felt good to care about something again. Here's the thing about revenge, though. It doesn't actually make you feel better. It makes you feel satisfied in a cold, distant way, like checking off items on a list. Did I get justice? Yes. Did Vanessa face consequences for trying to betray me? Absolutely. Did Derek's illegal business get shut down, and did he face federal charges? He did. But did any of that give me back the 7 years I spent with someone who was lying to me? Did it erase the nights I lay awake wondering what I'd done wrong, what I'd missed, how I could have been so blind? No, nothing was going to give me that back. 6 months after everything ended, my mom called me. She'd been worried about me, though I'd tried to hide how bad things had gotten. "Are you okay?" she asked. "Really okay?" I thought about it, really thought about it. "I'm getting there," I said. "It still hurts, probably always will a little, but I'm okay." "Good," she said. "You deserve better than what she gave you." She was right. I did deserve better, and eventually I'd find better. But first, I had to finish healing from this. The final piece of revenge came almost a year after the divorce. I was at a coffee shop near my new place when I saw Vanessa. She looked different, older somehow, though it was only months. She was dressed in clothes that weren't the expensive brands she used to favor. She was alone, standing in line, staring at her phone with the kind of defeated posture that spoke of too many bad days in a row. She saw me at the same moment I saw her. Our eyes met across the coffee shop. I waited for the anger to come, the bitterness, the satisfaction at seeing her brought low. Instead, I just felt nothing. She wasn't my problem anymore, wasn't my wife, wasn't my concern, wasn't anything to me at all. I picked up my coffee and walked out without saying a word. And that, I realized, was the best revenge of all. Not the money I'd kept, not the divorce, not even the consequences she'd faced. The best revenge was that she simply didn't matter to me anymore. I drove home to my condo, to my new life, to my fresh start. The $650,000 sat in investments, growing steadily. I'd used some of it to pay off my student loans, some to max out my retirement accounts, some to take a trip to Japan I'd always wanted to take, but Vanessa had never been interested in. The rest, it was just money. Important, sure, but not as important as the lesson I'd learned. Trust is earned, not given. Love requires honesty, not performance. And sometimes, the person you think you know best is actually a complete stranger. My name is Marcus Chen. I'm 34 years old, and I'm finally free. If you made it to the end of this story, I want to say thank you. Your support means everything to this channel. Please hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss a story. I'd love to know where you're watching from. Drop your country or city in the comments below. I see so many of you tuning in from the United States, the Philippines, Canada, and especially New York, and it amazes me how these stories connect us all despite the distance. Whether you're watching from Manila at midnight, Toronto during your lunch break, New York on your commute, or anywhere else in the world, you're part of this community. Your stories, your comments, and your support keep this channel alive. Share this video with someone who needs to hear it. Sometimes people need to know they're not alone in what they're going through. Hit that like button if Marcus's story resonated with you, and I'll see you in the next one.